It was once a hugely popular destination, but today has fallen on hard times. Can new plans bring prosperity and tourists back to New York's Catskill Mountains? Coming up this week, we're in upstate New York looking into one region's dazzling past and hopeful future.
Quite hard work, but it's worth it.
In Citizen, we're at one of London's most colourful and fragrant markets.
There's no nicer place to be on a Sunday morning than Columbia Road in Bethnal Green.
Tommy finds a device to get his one-man party started in global gadgets.
Yeah!
And we're in Finland to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the lady behind these creatures.
As Finns, we are really proud to be the homeland of mornings.
Hello and welcome to The Travel Show, coming this week from the Catskills, around 2 hours drive north of New York City. Running over 6,000 square miles in the southeastern corner of New York State is the Catskill Mountains. It's an area of spectacular natural beauty, with rolling hills and river valleys and sleepy rural towns. It's pretty quiet today, but back in the 50s and 60s, this region was crammed with visitors and was, believe it or not, the top tourist destination in all of the United States. Back then, the Catskills was the holiday spot for New Yorkers to escape the city heat each summer, particularly the Jewish community. Over 500 grand hotels amused their guests with a full roster of Jewish comedians, from Jerry Lewis and Mel Brooks to Joan Rivers and Woody Allen. And the southern counties of the Catskills became fondly known as the Borscht Belt.
It was about coming up and being entertained from the minute you woke up in the morning to the minute you went to bed. There would be hundreds of thousands of guests on any given weekend, millions throughout the summer. As one old-timer told me, if you didn't live through it, there's no way anyone could ever describe it for you because you wouldn't believe it.
For the local businesses, this meant a goldmine of holiday trade.
The streets of the communities, for the most part, were busy until the wee hours of the morning. So businesses stayed open till midnight or beyond. It wasn't unusual for eating places to be open 24 hours a day. Gas stations would be open 24 hours a day.
When the Golden Age came to an end, it happened abruptly. In a few short years, beginning in the late 1960s, the Catskills fell out of fashion and New Yorkers began to holiday elsewhere. In the decades following, hotels and businesses closed in their hundreds. And the place has become a kind of graveyard for the formerly grand resorts like this one, forgotten for decades and abandoned to the elements, now being slowly reclaimed by nature. This change in fortunes has had a disastrous effect on the local economies, with places like Sullivan and Ulster counties now struggling with below-average incomes and high unemployment. But help could be at hand in the shape of a new plan to bring gaming to the region. Casino operators are currently applying for a limited number of licenses in upstate New York, including in the Catskills and Hudson Valley region. One of the applications is for the Neverly, a classic Borscht Belt hotel. If approved, the redevelopment would see the derelict site completely revived, bringing a proposed 2,000 permanent jobs to the region.
This area in its heyday was the place. There would be a line of cars for 10 miles long. waiting to come to the Nevele for the summer vacation. And so our hope is to put those cars back on the road, get people to come up here, and put jobs back on the map here.
For some, however, these casinos are not a panacea for the region's economic problems and could have a negative effect on local communities.
Well, traditionally, casinos, again, they bring in, elements of vice. You've got an increase in prostitution, drugs, crime. So all of those things need to be mitigated when you bring them into a rural community, especially like our communities here in the Catskills.
Instead of multiple casinos, Ramsey believes a better way to bring prosperity back to the region is with low-impact, sustainable tourism. He's currently putting the finishing touches on the Catskill Brewery, a craft beer outfit in the town of Livingston Manor. Let's make some beer.
Just watching the bubbles in my beer. But come in, Tom, and give us the lowdown on it.
Quite hard work.
But it's worth it.
Apart from the laughter and the cheers.
Cheers.
So, is this kind of operation enough to revive tourism in the Catskills, do you think?
No, not one enterprise, not one craft brewery, but it's a whole movement, and with New York City so close, to have a craft brewery, to have organic farms, to have grass-fed beef, to have, tourism with fishing, it's together, it's a solution.
This small-scale tourism industry might provide a sustainable future, but for now all eyes are on the casino tender process, bringing what many hope will be a return to some semblance of the glory days of the Catskills all those years ago. If you're thinking of taking a trip to the Catskills, here's some information you might find useful. With festivals in summer, clear autumn air and skiing in winter, this region has activities on offer at all times of the year. Just watch out for mud season from mid-March to mid-May, when the melting snow and rainfall can make hiking difficult. Driving is definitely the best way to get around the Catskills, but distances between the towns are deceptively long, so make sure you allow enough time. And the Catskills are remote, and cell phone reception is, in many areas, non-existent. So make sure to make any important calls before you leave your hotel, and prepare to take a holiday from the digital world. Next up, a horticulturalist's delight. The latest in our series, where we meet some of the people who make our cities tick, finds us behind the scenes at the Columbia Road Flower Market in London's East End.
Morning, young lady. Still yawning here. I'm going to put some more celosia out, or... There's no nicer place to be on a Sunday morning than Columbia Road in Bethnal Green. Got here about an hour ago, started to set up. The climax of the day will be hopefully selling that and going home with a few quid in the old tank. Columbia Road Market is a very unique market in London. Basically, it's a garden centre in a street in the heart of London. Looking at all of these different plant stalls, they've all got their own niche, like this one here. This is all pot stuff, instant gardens you can get out of this kind of stuff. He maintains you don't sunbathe. Stuart's one of the new breed, he's one of the young boys who we like to think will keep it running when people like me have gone, Stuart's the next generation. The guys that sell these plants are real experts. You can ask them anything and they know all the answers. I've seen the changes over the years. I've seen it go from primarily local people that you serve. I've seen it transform into people from all over London and beyond. Your people come by here, you hear Spanish, you hear French. I met a guy in Italy a few years ago, chatting to this guy, heard me accent, knew I'm a Londoner. Told him what I did for a living, he started telling me about Columbia Road. It's £10, my love, please. Sorry, darling. No, she's rubbing up against me now.
Like a flower
See that?
in the breeze.
I'm happily married, by the way, I've got to tell you. Not Mondays, though. Banter with customers is not something you plan, it's something that happens. Is that your husband there? Is it? That's your partner. Sorry, mate.
You've got the Red Devil Violet there, gorgeous Ranger.
The work is getting up in the morning, getting home in the evening. The bit in between, serving people, it's a pleasure to be there. I wish I was 20 years younger. I'd had more time to enjoy it. Excuse me. Sorry, darling. Morning. Hey, how are you, darling? You all right? I couldn't really imagine not coming here. Even if I was able to ever afford to retire, I think I still would come here on a Sunday. How can I explain it? It just is under my skin. It's part of me. And I like to think until the day I die, I'll still have a licence with Dennis Madden written on it, Columbia Road flower trader.
Any free bunches of tenner from your freezer on with them?
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Pleasure. Bye, Mary. Bye, young man.
Now it's time for the travel update. In the US, access to California's Yosemite National Park was restricted this week as wildfires swept across the forest. Residents were evacuated as firefighters battled to contain the blaze, cutting down trees in an attempt to stop the fire spreading. The French capital Paris has long been popular with tourists, but one area has now been overwhelmed by a new kind of visitor. The Tuileries Garden next to the world-famous Louvre Museum has been taken over by an influx of rats who are attracted to the area because of its proximity to the river and the opportunity to munch on leftovers from tourists' picnics.
Well, they're not really clean animals, I think, so I think there's a lot of dirt probably if they're here.
The museum has called in pest control to deal with the problem. Silence is set to come to the Spanish city of Seville after the council passed regulations to limit noise levels. The city is known for its festivals, flamenco and bullfighting, but some locals have long complained that noisy activities disrupt their daily lives. The banned activities include outdoor domino games and singing in the street, although it isn't clear how strictly the measures will be enforced. And the World Cup has left a permanent mark in Rio on this wall, where football fan and painter Marcos Yambiero has created a giant painting showing the greatest moments of the 2014 tournament.
Achei muito legal e parece foto, o cara pintou sensacional.
Visitors to Copacabana Beach will be able to see the mural, which tells the story of the competition through portraits of players and pictures of key moments.
Eu já tô com inspiração já para a Copa da Rússia, assim, e já com saudades da Copa aqui do nosso país.
Coming up on the Travel Show.
One man, music machine, yeah!
Tommy puts the latest travel devices to the test in global gadgets. And we enter the enchanting world of the Moomins as centenary celebrations take place in Finland. So, see you after the break. Welcome back to the Travel Show, your essential guide wherever you're heading.
First up, one for all you party people out there. Check this out, it's a portable speaker. And no, I haven't just broken a pair of headphones. This is how it comes. It's called the Monocle. You connect the speaker to your phone or MP3 player, and there's an inline microphone so you can make calls. You hold it to your ear to listen privately, or twist the back and it will blast out your music. The button on the side will start and stop your tracks. And that's the same button you use to accept a phone call. Hello? No way. Tell them all that.
Tommy, welcome to yours for a party!
Woohoo! For a small speaker, the sound is good, but when you turn it up really loud, they do tend to distort. And I need that big sound. I've got people coming over. So I've linked up a few of these which you can do really easily. And before you know it, you can create your very own one-man music machine. Yeah! Yeah! This is where it's going down, right here. Oh yeah! Oh man, how annoying is that? You've got a great book with you when you're on your travels, but your reader runs out of battery. Now what am I gonna do? Now I know there are some people out there that say, hey Tommy, what you should have done was carried around a big old external battery pack. That would have saved you. But who does that unless you're in the middle of the jungle? This, however, is a bit more practical. The Fuel microcharger is the world's smallest and it connects to your device via mini USB. It's rechargeable and designed to attach to your keyring. It will connect to Android phones, but you'll need an adapter to use it with an iPhone. So this is designed just to give you an extra boost of energy. It's not meant to fully recharge your devices. You could get 20 to 30 minutes worth of talk time, you could get enough power to access your maps again if you were lost, or charge up your reader and find out what happens at the end of your book. I can't believe it, I've been wanting to know. There we go. Ah, they all lived happily ever after. Do you ever spend all your time on your holidays taking pictures, making videos on your phone, on your cameras and your camcorders, and never really taken a moment just to soak it all up? Well, perhaps this is the solution. The autographer has an inbuilt sensor that monitors changes in your surroundings to work out when to take a photo. It's automatic, so you just select the frequency of the shots. You can review the images by connecting it to your computer or syncing up with the app via Bluetooth. No, I'm just going for all these pictures that my producer and me have taken throughout today. Most of them are out of focus, a lot of them are rubbish, but let's face it, some of the best pictures are the spontaneous and natural ones, and this will capture those. But I think I better go back to my room, lie down and start to delete some of these. What do you think this is? A big old pair of socks? No. Is it my wash bag? No, it's not. This is my travel pillow. Although it doesn't look very comfortable right now, but that's because I haven't brought it to life. Check this out. The U-Pillow has a layer of memory foam and a side valve that allows it to automatically inflate. So it takes up less space than the pillows that you get that are already stuffed, but it won't flatten down quite as much as the fully inflatable ones. However, this saves you all that huffing and puffing. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to put this to the test. You guys still there?
Now, don't get too comfy or you'll miss these little creatures. They're the Moomins, and this year marks 100 years since the birth of their creator, Tove Jansson. The travel show went to her home country of Finland to find out what inspired their magical world.
Moomins are characters of this famous Finnish author called Tove Jansson, and she created this lovely Moomin family. It's the family of three. It's Moomin Papa, Moomin Mama, and there's a Moomin Troll, who is kind of the main character. And of course, they have a lot of friends. They have Little Moo, Snork Maiden, and her brother Snork. I think Moomins are so popular because they actually have a whole story and philosophy behind all the characters. The most important values of the Moomins are family, friendship, being adventurous, being brave, doing the things that you want to do, and be brave enough to be yourself. As Finns, we are really proud to be the homeland of Moomins.
Tove Jansson is many things. She was a painter, a cartoonist, she was a writer, set designer, playwright, and of course she created moments, or she started to write about moments during the war. She said that the war was such a desperate time that she needed something else to think about, and then she started to create the stories with moments. She was born here in Helsinki. Her family lived in this house behind us when she was born in 1914. I think many of the Moomin characters are based on her own family. And I think this Katajanokka area inspired her in many ways. The houses that you see here are so-called Art Nouveau or Jugend houses. They were built at the beginning of the 20th century, and when you look at the windows and the doors and the roofs, you can see many similarities to Moomin houses. And then of course there is the sea, not far away from here, and that was an important element in her life.
No mun mielestä Södersäari paikkana, jos haluaa vierailla täällä, on tää, kun tänne saapuu ja huomaa tämän rauhallisuuden, semmoisen söpön karuuden. No Tove Janssonhan rakasti saaristoa. Heillä oli kesäpaikka tästä Södersääristä Koilliseen noin tunnin matkan verran Kluvhaaru, jossa he vietti monia kesiä. Ja mä uskoisin, että monet kirjan inspiraatiot, kuvitukset on saanut alkunsa siellä. Muumipappa ja merikirjassahan muumipappa kyllästyy asumaan muumitalossa ja haluaa vaihtelua elämäänsä ja on haaveillut, että meriretkeä ulkosaariston Majakkasaarelle. Voisin kuvitella, että Muumipappa ja merikin on saanut inspiraatioita osittain myös.
Well, that's it for the travel show this week. Next week,
Panama is finally being recognised as a travel destination in its own right. Rajan travels across the country from the Atlantic coast to the big city, the only city, the capital, where Miami meets Havana, and the world's most famous shortcut, the canal, celebrates its centenary.
Isn't this amazing? The iconic Panama Canal, and I'm cycling along it. Fantastic.
so do join us then if you can. And in the meantime, don't forget, you can keep up with us while we're out on the road in real time by signing up to our social media feeds, details of which are appearing on the screen now. But for now, from me, Krista Larwood, and the rest of the Travel Show team here in the Catskills, it's goodbye.